Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We still have DJ Omojuwa and we're analyzing 2 years of this current administration. You were saying something before we had that call.
Yeah, it was about, it's a conversation on transparency and accountability. And I was saying I was with my friend and was discussing this idea that they're already operationalizing modern markets in Lekki and GRA. And he said that they have the market and they have people come sell at the market and then they get their own share from the sales. I'm like, in Nigeria, how will you get your own money? And he told me that the people, he gave me an example of a kitchen, for instance. They manage the back end, they send the food in, but it is their own people, the owners of the market. They are the ones selling and getting the money. And as soon as the money is paid, people get their share immediately. Wow. So nobody needs to go and check whether somebody is stealing money because they built a system to address that. So Nigeria must prioritize transparency and built-in systems more than we obsess over fighting corruption. The thing about people, there's this thing about prevention is better than cure. But cure is more dramatic than prevention. So the person that cures gets more attention. And that, for instance, is why we don't know what the kind of crisis that this administration, for instance, has stemmed. Right? And that's also why when it comes to conversation on corruption, we don't pay more attention to preventing it than we do when somebody is arrested. But the truth is, we are better off, we save more money by building systems where we don't have to chase somebody. I hate that a new organization gets formed, a new agency gets formed, and the next thing you're hearing about money has gone. In 2025, you should have a system where it should not be possible for one person or 2 or 3 people to just have 25 billion, 100 billion distributed just like that without a system that ensures that doesn't happen. So that's what we must focus on. A system where accountability is more even prioritized, transparency is more prioritized versus the outcomes where people already stole the money.
They're not chasing them up and down.
Yeah. Nice one. Yeah. Let me take talk with my name's Sig, called in from Ikorodu. Oh, we lost that call.
Can I do
my
question?
Yes.
So, what do you think this administration should focus on in the next 2 years? I know that they are already having conversations on the upcoming elections, 2027. And at that point, instead of focusing on doing the work, they'll be focusing more on campaign. But for this remaining 2 years that this administration has, what do you think they can do to sort of maybe make the compound effect of some of the things they've started felt by the common man before 2027? Or which other areas do you think they can look into, to just make it better for Nigerians?
I almost said thank you for the question, but that would look like I didn't have an answer to it. But by the way, on the election thing, there are opposition candidates that have been campaigning since the last election ended. So it's not the president is not the one doing this. It's the reality of the politics. They are putting pressure on him. And frankly speaking, he's on his own side, he's focused on governance. What do I think we should focus on? The fundamentals of an economy that is experiencing a paradigm shift, we're already seeing it, but we're yet to see it on the people directly. So they need to focus on tools and avenues and opportunities to make the people feel that effect directly. I think that's what needs to be focused on. So anything that we can do to address the people's capability, the people's capacity to be able to buy food. When you say cost of living, you're talking about trying to drive costs down. That's fine. But it's also important to give people capacity to meet costs, wherever cost is, right? That's essential because too many times it's about cost of living coming down. But when you look at the global trends, I saw somebody talking about increasing. They bought a RAM for £80, and then now the RAM is 300 or 350 pounds or thereabouts. So there's the general trend of increasing cost of living. But what you can then do in a situation where these general trends are global in nature is that empower your people, give them the capacity to meet that cost however it goes, even whilst you're managing that cost. So the next 2 years should be about compounding the positive effects, the positive outcomes of the reforms. I think that's what we should focus on.
Miriam.
So I wanted to ask about, I was going to, you mentioned the governors earlier and you spoke about how our governors have gotten a lot
unprecedented. That's why they're
not
happy.
Just funding, but power in the exclusive list and all of that. So I want you to rate the new set of governors we've had. We've had 2 years also. Which governor would you say have impressed you, or even those that are in their second term, which governors have impressed you in their management of the resources they've had and in the administration generally? How well would you say they've achieved bringing governance, good governance to their people? Because we tend to just focus on Lagos and FCT because we...
I mean, because of availability heuristics, that's what you see. So to start with, we don't have enough time to address everyone. So let's forget about the guys in their second time. I think they are set in their ways. Let's hope that the ones that have not really settled down, done the right things, can quickly use the last 2 years to rush and get things done. But in terms of the new guys, I think that Peter Umba in Enugu is doing okay. He's not telling his stories well. He's not telling his story well. I think he can do better on that front. But
he's doing enough that people are talking about.
He's actually doing good. He's actually doing good.
That's
You can see
I've been hearing about
You can see it. I think if you go a bit north, Diko Rada is doing well. He's creating a system where technology is helping to enable the people. I think he's doing well. He's also directly addressing the security challenge. He's not just waiting on the federal government. And I think governors have to start thinking with respect to that. I think Ubasani is definitely doing well. He's got a lot of plaudits for the way he's addressed security or insecurity in Kaduna State. He's done very well in terms of going to places that ordinarily you would have felt, oh, they didn't vote for me. He's also humane in his addressing of these challenges.
Kaduna State?
Yes.
Because we have, Ramatu is from Kaduna.
Katsina.
Oh, that's Katsina. Okay, because she was calling out her own governor.
And you know, people can have different views, right? It's government, it's millions of people, it's thousands
and you have been
millions
focusing
of
on the
acres.
structure anyway.
Yeah. So Ubasani is doing well. Is primary health care, ensuring that they get to places outside of the city centers, ensuring that people that ordinarily were maybe primarily ignored for years are getting access to roads, are getting access to primary health care, and their governor is listening to them, prioritizing them, and there is no hanky-panky with respect to leadership. It's open, it's compassionate. I think there'll probably be time for others, but these are the three that really come to mind in terms of the first
3 of
time.
36.
Can I ask?
No, I said that for the second time, guys, they're set in their ways. They're in their 6th year, generally speaking, minus the people that are off-cycle elections. But for the new guys, these three people definitely come to mind.
Can I ask what you think about the state of the attitude of the opposition, federal level, state level,
and even the fact that they seem to be like we
have a
strong
system. Opposition? Are Nigerians even allowing opposition to be opposition? What's your opinion?
I mean, Nigerians are minding their business, and that's what it should be. Opposition they want a shouting contest. And I understand why they would want a shouting contest. The truth of the matter is, for instance, I heard 2 of them on different platforms say that the president is doing the right thing, but they would have done better, which is interesting. Food subsidy has been around for about 50 years, since the 70s. So if it was easy to be done, how come nobody did it? Now, saying somebody tried to do it is another story, but they did not do it. So the same opposition, they know that certain things are right and they cannot knock it. They actually said it was doing the right thing, but their own claim was that they could have done better. But you were in government, some as recently as less than or 2 years ago, right? So in that sense, when you cannot play on the front of those primary fundamentals of a paradigm-shifting idea and actually doing it, you have to engage in a shouting contest. And what's the shouting contest? You are this, you are that, you are this, you are that. And I understand why they are there. It's difficult to argue against certain fundamentals. The other thing is, there's an assumption that they are going to come together and do this. But when you pay attention, you realize that their interests are conflicting. There are people that if they don't run now, age-wise, they are gone. In fact, even now, age-wise, they are gone. But if they don't run now, it's good night. So they have to run. There are people that if they don't run now, that's 4 years plus 8 years, 12 years on their age.
It's almost late.
Yeah, there are people that are there. There are people that are there that know that if I allow this person to do their extra 4 years, then I can come and run.
Permutation.
So they are there. They cannot play for you to come and run and win, because that puts them in 16 years, because that's your 8 years comes down 8 years, 16 years. So
calculation.
This game.
That's the game.
It's a mathematical game. If you don't look at it, you think it's just a narrative game. It's mathematics, it's age, it's interest. And I see so many people at the same table, sometimes AI generated table, and I see divergent interests. There are people that if once you put them in the mix, some people are just fearing, some Nigerians are fearing for their lives. They would never be part of it, just by having certain people in the mix of that coalition.
Wow.
So I feel for them, I pray for them, but they have plenty
So
work
it
to
looks
do.
like the coalition, there's a lot of drama around it. Many Nigerians, because we're out of time, completely out of time, many Nigerians feel like they, like what you started from, they're not feeling the impact yet. And they are judging based on how hard their life has become.
That's how they should judge.
Under this administration. What would be your advice to our leaders on, because BC asked that question, but your answer was not highlighted. I'd like you to, what would you tell the leaders to be the key area they should, that if you feel if they do, would impact on people's bottom line
directly and immediately?
For this answer, it's not even just our leaders, and I mean all our leaders in terms of
governors
have resources. No, not even just governors. People that have resources, people that have money. We need to look out for one another. But the government, especially, if you're a minister, appointees, if you're in any position of power, you need to go out of your way to reach out. And when I say reach out, I don't mean talk. You need to go out of your way to intervene for people. We have a responsibility to not necessarily drop cash because it's not sustainable, but do things that will make it easier for people to bear this period. Because I can tell you, these are the right things to do. But just like if you go from any money every month to saying, this is not working for me, I want to start doing business. The truth of the matter is you are going to suffer through that period. But the time comes when the reward comes, it's bountiful. So much so, it's the same thing for a system like Nigeria, basically every country, but more so when you have 200 million people, multi-layered, multinational, like different nations, different tongues. We somehow assume that things just have to work, but unfortunately, even for you as an individual, things just don't work just because you want them to work. There's plenty of work to do, there's plenty of place to be paid, and then ultimately, when you do what you're supposed to do, when you commit to it, when you show grit and persistence, as long as the fundamental principles are right, the outcomes will be great.
All right. Thank you so much for such engaging time. Thank you for a very intelligent conversation and the perspectives that you gave. Very
blessed are you amongst women.
Yes. Yes, it's not aggressive. We're nice people here. We let you air your views and we respect people's opinion here, which is not common in this current TV. We like the TV.
And I like that it's not a shouting contest here because
we need to pat ourselves on the back. There's a lot of shouting going on air.
It's not a shouting contest.
We're not hearing it.
Shout or not,
thank you.
Things that won't change.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, JJ. Thank you, ladies, for a very interesting conversation. That's what we can take on today's show. But join us tomorrow for another exciting episode. Stay with us. We're done for today.